I'm going to outwork people. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to outwork the other people around here, okay? All right? Because I still believe in the value of hard work. I'm going to outwork them every single day. I'm going to put the time in, okay? Glenn called me and asked me, Shepherd, are you going to work hard? And it almost made me mad, okay? All right, are you going to work hard? I wanted to fight him through the phone, okay? All right? You got a fighter on your hands, okay? All right? I fought for everything that I have, okay? And I'll continue to fight for the young men that are in this program. I'll continue to fight for Oregon State University.
Speaking of fighters, Chainsaw Crew is brought to you by Headquarters PT, your destination to the Northwest. Best way to help you feel great and play your best. Whether you are recovering from an injury, training for a race, or looking to improve your golf game, HQPT has your back. From weekend warriors to NFL pros, like on our hiring committee, Brandon Cooks and Cooper Cup. HQPT is here for you. Visit www.headquarterspt.com to get started. Josh, buddy, it's been kind of a weird night for us. We've had some Wi-Fi issues. Josh is at his church right now. It's like 10:45 at night for me. But you know what? I've had energy all day, especially after that press conference is done, because the JaMarcus Shephard era is here. And my goodness, the energy that this man just brings, exalts. It is infectious, man. I want to listen to him speak all the time. I just saw a video actually that was posted maybe 10, 15 minutes ago on the Beaver page, and he's about to hop on the plane back to Tuscaloosa to get ready for the SEC championship game. He's like, Beaver Nation, I'll be right back, don't you worry. And I'm just like, man, a whole offseason we got to go until we get to see this guy coach on the field, dude. I cannot wait, guys. Welcome back to Chainsaw Crew, our last episode of the year before we get out of here. Make sure you follow us on all platforms at Chainsaw Crew 23. Download the podcast, give us 5 stars, tell a friend, get it out there, check out HQPT. And as always, thank you to the Hannah Grace Foundation for letting us do this on Zoom. Josh, buddy, what a day it was, man. We're finally here. You and I are finally actually recording this podcast after a long night. How are you, man? What are your initial reactions after that press conference today and everything else going on?
We had to be blown away, right? I tweeted on social media, on X, whatever you want to call that platform that we all use, but during the press conference towards the end, that it feels like that's the easy word to say, is blown away during that press conference, especially with the last 2 years of everything that's gone on at Oregon State. That's what I was, and I feel like that's what everybody that watched that press conference was. Just have somebody walk into a room and basically inject new life into every single person that was watching. And we tried to record this episode 3 or 4 hours ago, and it went about as well as this football season did for some reason. So, but when we look back at this hire of JaMarcus Shephard, we talked about it for so long this year, Rob, how important, once Bray got fired, how important this hire was for Scott Barnes to get right. And it's very obvious this is probably Scott's last run as an AD anywhere, probably.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
There's a lot of pressure on him. A pressure on him to figure this thing out and get it right, because you're looking at a dead end road that this university was heading towards. And these last 4 or 5 weeks of the football, it was awful. There was 2 wins in there. By the grace of God, we beat Washington State, and then we found a way to beat Lafayette. I'm so done talking about this last season, and especially today and yesterday, seeing that video of JaMarcus talking to the team. We roll over into what we got today. I don't care what happened a week ago at Oregon State, especially surrounding this football program. It's so far in the rearview mirror. I'm just done with it. I cannot tell you how excited I am for what we're going to witness in 9 months. I'm going to premise this with some caution, though, and I don't want to do that, but I'm going to. Next year, I think no matter what way it goes, I think a lot of people, maybe it's just me, it could be rough to start the season, and just depending how the cards fall, because right now, Shep's in a terrible spot with the portal and recruiting right now, right? It's just a terrible to be doing this. But I think if there's one guy that can go out and do it and get it right now, it's him, because he could tell a $5 bill or he could convince a $5 bill $500 because he convinced me that I'm one of the most valuable people in Beaver Nation today. That's just the reality of it. And I think you sent me the video, was it yesterday, of Vegan doing his press conference of him coming back, bro? No, thank you. I don't want that. Oregon State has never seen energy at the head coaching level ever. Like, we talk breath of fresh air, inject it into my veins 365 days a year, Rob. That's what I want. I want Shep going out and convincing everybody that they need to come here and play at Oregon State, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to go sell this program in ways I don't think we've ever seen it. It was easy for Smith to do that because he's a former player and all that good stuff. But when you have somebody that's going to come in and lay it down, put discipline on the field, we're not going to see players give up anymore. We're going to see, I guarantee, we'll see a football program that goes out and plays 4 quarters of hard-nosed football every Friday, Saturday, Thursday. It's going to be incredible. I just, again, blown away, goosebumps right now. I'm willing to run through every single wall in this church if I had to right now, Rob.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. And just listening to him speak yesterday to the team, that little short snippet they posted of just like, can I be honest with you? Talking about just winners win and champions are champions long before they win a championship. All of that is just, it's just good meat in a sandwich, dude. Like, that's what he brings. Like, he is the A1. And how you do anything is how you do everything. Like, all of his quotes are great. He's going to have a ton of them. And I know, like, press conferences don't win games, but you know what they do? They create a lot of good content. And what Oregon State has done today is they have got out with so many good videos. They have one on Instagram that's with Alabama's account. How many followers do they have? 1.5 million followers. The comments are great, dude. The Alabama fans, for the most part, have been really, really supportive of this whole thing. Everyone's super happy for the guy, and he was talking about how Coach DeBoer had a meeting with them, and that's what the video is about, the one that they did with Alabama, how they had a team meeting, and they announced it that, hey, JaMarcus is going to Oregon State, and everybody got super excited, and JaMarcus was saying, like, that doesn't happen very often, and he's right. I'm sure it doesn't happen very often. But, man, this was a walk-off grand slam press conference. It couldn't have gone better, honestly. I was locked in the entire time. He is just so infectious, man. Like, someone said he sounds like Draymond Green, and I'm like, good. We need a Draymond Green. I don't need a Trent Bray snoozer fest of a presser where he's saying next question when someone asks him a tough question, you know. I don't need Jonathan Smith, you know, stuttering over his words and just saying the same old coach speak stuff. JaMarcus doesn't bring that. He's a teacher. He was in the kinesiology program at Western Kentucky. He mentioned that right after his press conference. He's been in classrooms. He's been on the football field. He's been on the track. He's done a lot of different things to make him the leader that he is. And that is what is so infectious about him, because he can tell a story about anything, man. And like I told you earlier, dude, he could lead a group of senior citizens to go run a marathon, it feels like. He can get you to do anything. And man, dude, it's captivating. All of his answers were so great. His answer to Angie Machado's question about his motivation and his why was perfect. Everybody has a little bit of brokenness in them. I mean, it's poetic. Like, we haven't heard this kind of talk at Oregon State ever. Like, my entire life, it's always been like pretty much my entire childhood, and yours as well. Mike Riley was always, you know, Jiminy Christmas, I'm so proud of my team. And like, yeah, he was an emotional guy, but like, he was always keeping it very, very just elementary with his press conferences and how he spoke about things. But this is way different, man. And he's checked all the boxes in the press conference, right? Like, he tugged at your heartstrings with great answers. He had a very inspiring, fired up speech. And then he's also talking about nostalgia. Okay, if you're an alum, get your butt back here, man. And that's when I texted Tim Ewis. I was like, "You heard the man, dude. Get your ass in his office." And that's awesome to hear from a coach. He wants him on the sidelines. He wants him in the meetings. And he called up, other than Brandon Cooks, who was on the hiring committee. Which, by the way, shout out to Brandon Cooks, man. That man got cut from a team. Then he's working his ass off to get back on a new team. He's going to learn a new offense with the Buffalo Bills. He already played a game with them, and all of that being said, he was also on a hiring committee for his alma mater. Workers work, man. B. Cooks is a true Beaver, and that is just incredible from him. Brandon was on the phone with JaMarcus a lot. Then JaMarcus mentioned I was talking to Steven Jackson. Okay, Steven Jackson's son is on the team, so that's a little bit different, right? So, obviously, I think Skyler wants to be involved on the next team. And then he said he was talking to the Rogers brothers. So, man, 10 out of 10, dude. No notes. Barnes wasn't asked a single question when he was sitting there, and he was getting a little bored. I think he was on his phone a little bit. Some people are making a big deal out of that, but I mean, whatever. He wasn't being asked a question. But if you have not watched that press conference, go over to YouTube, watch it, and then watch our podcast on YouTube too while you do that. And then give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the page. But man, today was great, man. The energy that this man has is just insane. He's doing interview after interview. He was done with the press conference today. So he first does his speech, right? Then he has his questionnaires, and then he's done, more pictures, and then he goes right to the media for another media session. And then he was done with the media session, and then he went into his new football head coach office and talked to John Gonzano for like 20 minutes. The energy of this man is just, it's great. He's only 42. He's still very young. Obviously, he should have a lot of energy. But man, everything about today was just a home run after a home run after a home run. And it just feels like he's gonna do things kind of the way Mitch Canham does, where it's like it's my way or the highway. You're either with me or you're not with me. Like, including Scott Barnes. Like, I'm gonna do it this way, and I'm gonna work alongside Scott. His issues are my issues, he said. But I'm like, you basically forced him that we have to hire a general manager, and here we are. Like, they're looking at it. It looks like Ron Hodges is gonna be the next general manager. Nothing's confirmed yet, but Josh, what have we been saying all season long on this podcast? If you're a loyal listener, what have we been saying?
We need a general manager, and we need it
Football-minded
so bad.
GM.
Here's the crazy thing before we hop into that real quick. Goals conference and just kind of what you were talking about is when we talk about setting a tone or a foundation for something, listening to him speak all day today, essentially, because I don't know if you listened to the it was a great interview.
Listen to like 5 minutes of it before we got on here, but yeah.
Today, it was the same energy through every part of our today. And the thing that I think stuck out to during the press conference was, I don't know if people this, but how important it is to have a family man at the helm, right? That gets it, someone that is family oriented, that has kids. It's down to that level with these guys, and be able to be human with them is huge. And when he's talking about how he wants to invite all the coaches at Oregon State and their spouses to come over, bro, that's a leader. That is somebody that wants change and make change in a big way at a university. You can't do it by yourself, right? You have the support of everybody. It just checking every box. I'm really gonna do that. Like, it just happened this way, but again, and you said it earlier, and you said it already, that winning football games doesn't matter in a press conference right now. I It's hard when stuff doesn't start going his way. What's he like? Is he going to keep this? When it sucks. But I'm a leader. I'm a fearless leader. I'm a fighter, like he said he is. Are we going to see that next year when it gets tough? It's going to be tough, right? Year one is never easy for anybody. It's all great right now, right? But we will find out so much as we start going through the beginning of next year, going into spring ball camp and everything, what direction this is going to go. But flipping back to what you were saying about general manager, just the staff rumors, because nothing's been confirmed yet of what he's going to bring or who he's going to bring. In this day and age where rev share NIL is just so important, and he kind of played it off like it was nothing during his press conference, which that's all great, but we know how important it is. I bet if there was any donors big on the fence about anything going on with the future of this football program, he won them back today. And that's huge, because right now you need money more than ever. If you're going to go out and get the talent that I think that he wants to go get, money talks, right? And that's why all these elite college football programs are so successful right now. I think he can bring that culture to Oregon. And it's funny, we talked about it too. I'm just jumping around right now because my mind's just going 150 different places just as stuff comes up. But you said earlier, and this is just so crazy to think, that if this is the home slam hire that we think it is, you said 3 years. How crazy is that? 3 years. If this is the guy that could do what he says he can do, he's going to go on to bigger and brighter things, and that sucks to say, but if he can come in 3 years and resurrect this program from what it is right now to something to where they are competing for Pac-12 championships, they're winning Pac-12 championships, they're going bowling, they're maybe sniffing a CFP here and there. He's done his job, Rob. That's all we're asking right now. Get us back to being relevant. Get us back to where state and their fan base aren't even talking to us on social media. Get us back to where we're not the laughing stock. The special teams isn't ranked last in the country.
Oh God.
It's back to being relevant, where we can compete in football, where we can witness this team go out and win games. And I said earlier, I want teams to fear coming to Resurgam. I missed that during his press conference when Washington came a few years ago. They circled that game, Rob. They didn't want to come here. That's what I miss. I want Reser to be electric. I want it to be pouring rain in November and games meaning something. That's what I want. I'll go stand in the rain day and night for that.
Yeah, dude. And think about like when Boise State's coming to Corvallis, if it's late in the season, or we have Wazoo late in the schedule. We want that game to be impossible for that team coming into Corvallis. And you're right, dude. When he mentioned when he was with Washington in 23 and they had that game in Corvallis circled, and then Scott Barnes just mentioned that he hated the chainsaw noise. He's gonna have to get used to it now because, brother, that's what this podcast is about, and that's what the chainsaw is, dude. Like, it's third down, it's fourth down, and I hope he embraces it. I think he will. He seems like a guy who's gonna end up loving it. But yeah, you mentioned my initial text of this, like, this press conference felt so great that I was like, this feels, the pessimist in me was like, this feels too good to be true. Like, this is insane how perfect he's answering everything. He's a great speaker. We know that. But I'm just like, man, if everything goes well with him, it's like, how is Oregon State going to keep a guy like this? When you just listen to him talk and listen to his football philosophy, how it's kind of funny. Like, people were asking him, like, what are you looking for in a defensive coordinator? Like, what do you want your defense to look like? And then they asked him, like, what do you want your offense to look like? Okay. And then he's like, well, I worked with Mike Leach, and then I've worked with Kalen DeBoer, who's one of the best offensive minds in the country. And it's true. And, he's now worked with Ryan Grubb, but he was like, yeah, I've also ran the rock a lot. I was at Western Kentucky where we ran the ball a lot. And he didn't really like give a solidified answer of what his offense is going to look like, but it kind of sounds like he does want some balance. And then with the defensive side, he said he started his college career on the defensive side of the ball, so he does know a little bit about that as well. I think he's just well versed, man. And it feels too good to be true. Like, this guy's the head coach at Oregon State. Like, this is nothing. Again, nothing that we've ever seen before as a head coach. I mean, you can't win games off of press conferences, but dude, today was just incredible. So here's what we know so far about the staff, and none of this is confirmed. Although today, Coach Shephard and Scott Barnes were kind of hinting at, like, yeah, things are in talks, nothing is confirmed. But Coach Shephard was talking about how the guys he has verbally to commit to come over and coach at Oregon State, they're looking at places to live. I think Coach Shephard and his wife have already put in an offer for a house in Corvallis. So things are moving very quickly, and that's how it works in the coaching world. Like, things have to move fast, which is just so crazy. You have to pick it up and go. But general manager, like we mentioned, Aaron Hodges. Shout out to @Beav the Way for calling this a few days ago on X. I was like, Scott Barnes' legacy lies on the shoulders of JaMarcus Shephard. Also, start searching up GMs for Oregon State. And Beav the Way was right on. He was like, Aaron Hodges. And Aaron has a military background in the Navy. He's worked at Ohio State, Purdue, Texas Tech, TCU, Louisville, and now Alabama. He's been a director of player personnel. He's been a director of recruiting. And this is what Oregon State's needed, man. Finally, Scott Barnes is getting with the times and listening to the head man. And Shep was basically saying, it's a demand that I have to have a general manager because the way that college football is nowadays, you just need one. And we were talking about Raj Murthy at North Texas. You know where he's at right now? Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's already working towards next year as the general manager for Oklahoma State. He's 24 years old. Everyone's doing it, man. Everyone's doing it. If you want to be a successful program, you need a steady-minded, football-minded GM. And Oregon State's going to get that, which is great. So I don't know I don't really know how it's going to work at Oregon State at first because of the NIL is a little bit murky right now. The water is a little bit muddy, but that's what he's here to do. That's what he's going to figure out. And I think that's going to be a huge weight off of the entire coaching staff's shoulders just to focus on coaching the team. Hey, you have the worst special teams unit in the country. Let's not worry about NIL and free agency and the portal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's worry about coaching the boys up and just get them going. So, Josh, man, I'm really excited about Iran. Just his background is great. The places he's been at. He obviously has a very disciplined mindset too, being a military guy, and he's won. He's been in Ohio State. He's been at TCU when they were successful. Now Alabama. What do you think the ends are? Like, what are the expectations now that Oregon State has a competent general manager, and it's not really in the hands, it feels like, of Scott Barnes to figure out like a blueprint deal kind of thing, like we have a general manager for that now. Like he can do it. What do you think?
Crazy thing is, like, first of all, it came out a few days before we officially got the hire news of JaMarcus that was one of the things that what he wanted to bring to Oregon State was a general manager, and just in this day and age, having someone able to do all of that and taking all the pressure off the coaching staff or even off JaMarcus is huge, right? That's just a handful of things that he doesn't have to worry about, and that he can be putting his brain elsewhere. I think it's funny. People don't know this, but we've been trying to get Kyle Bjornstad on for a while now, and I've been texting him a little bit here and there over the last month or two, and then when it came out that the GM, Oregon State was getting a GM, and I was just like, hey, like what changed between now and then? And he wrote me back, but the crazy thing is if Shep's really going in there with Scott and like, hey, this is what I want, this is what I need, and this is how it's going to go, and Scott's actually going to open the door and let him drive this car in the direction that it needs to go, I can forgive Scott a little bit for the craziness of the last few years. And I think it's important to understand that there's probably been a lot of pressure on Scott to do a lot of things. I'm not in any way condoning what he's done or what he's did that we don't know about, but I think it's important to realize that if this is going to go the way that we're all hoping it goes, that Scott's got to get credit for it. And I will gladly give Scott some credit for it, right? The hiring committee, if this turns out to be a success we think it can be, it's going to be huge. And I'll be interested as it starts getting more serious, stuff starts playing out more. Like, is Shepherd really in control of a lot of things that we want him to be in control of? With Scott kind of pulling it back, I want more control of this type of thing, because they talked about locking arms with each other all day today. And if that's how it's going to be, if you got two guys willing to go in 50-50 like that, this direction of this program is going to take off in the right direction very quickly.
100%. And I know a lot of people in Beaver Nation, and deservedly so, have been really, really tough on Scott Barnes. And like you just said, we cannot forget what he just did with Brent Blaylock and with Kyle and the blueprint deal and what's going on currently with Oregon State men's basketball. The rowing situation too, that still has to go to court. Like, there's a lot of factors still going in with Scott, right? And he's had a tough life. And the last few years have been rough on him, having a serious health scare. But you're right. You got to give the guy credit right now, man. And I think a lot of people were being tough when JaMarcus got to the Valley Football Center yesterday. They're kind of dogging the video. They're like, oh, you couldn't do better than this. I'm like, what is wrong with that video? That's one of the better entrances of all the new coaches I've seen, actually. Did you see Michigan State's? Pat Fitzgerald, his first person he shook hands with was the mascot. I'm like, that's a joke. That's laughable. And then Lane Kiffin had a bad dap up. At least Scott Barnes' dap up with JaMarcus was clean. The band's playing. You had some cheerleaders out. What was wrong with that, guys? There was literally nothing wrong with that. I think we're just cherry picking things we want to be mad about with Scott Barnes. And then same thing today. Like, he checks his phone during the thing. Oh, whatever, dude. He's an athletic director. I'm sure his phone is always going off, okay? And he wasn't talking I don't see the big deal about this. It's almost 2026. Everyone's on their phone, okay? Relax. Let's take it easy a little bit, okay? He did the right thing with this hire, okay? And like you mentioned earlier with the Brent Vegan thing, could you imagine him today in that press conference? I'd be asleep. That guy cannot speak. He's boring, okay? Scott Barnes did a great job. He definitely did the right thing with this hire on paper. Now it's JaMarcus and his staff's job to get it done on the field. So Scott's done a good enough job as of right now, okay? Like you said, probably his last hire, hopefully his last hire at Oregon State for the football team, and we'll go from there, okay? I don't understand the narrative right now from Oregon State and Beaver Nation from a lot of the people. It's like they always just want to hate on him. How about, hey, step back. Let's take a bigger landscape view of this whole thing. Looks pretty good right now, man. Looks pretty good right now. After what you just went through, yeah, he made a horrible hire on Trent Bray. That's, oh well, he was kind of pressured into doing so. It was late in the shot clock. He had to fire up a shot, and Trent Bray was the shot. Okay? He airballed. Oh well. Now, hopefully, he slam dunks this one, dude. I think he did, so we'll see. But Scott, y'all got to go a little bit easier on Scott. I understand, like, yeah, he stinks overall, but go ahead, Josh. Yeah.
Just real quick, last thing I'll say about Scott is this hire, right? This could have gone south real quickly with how fast coaches started falling off, right? And with Vegan, and the last thing I'll talk about him is could have played it safe. They could have, and we could be waiting till the end of January of getting a head coach, right? Because Scott could have let him stay and played that out, right? Which would have been worst case scenario. That didn't happen, and we talk about giving credit. Like you got to give some credit to Scott. Like I realized the importance of everything, all the cards that were falling, all the dominoes that were falling that needed to be played out and played out immediately. For once, it feels like he finally figured it out.
It maybe, maybe. And I think this isn't the Scott Barnes podcast. I don't want to go too far into it, honestly, but I think he was fine today, guys. Like, I just don't understand, like, the constant just.
It's weird. It doesn't seem like
it can.
It seems like you're bored, like you don't want to be there. Like, and I'm sure that wasn't the attention, but when Marcus is getting peppered with questions and Scott's not getting any attention, because I'm sure Scott would have loved to soak up some of that sunlight, but it comes off weird, and I don't think it's a knock on Scott. I think he was just taking it back, letting JaMarcus do his thing. So.
He does make some odd facial expressions, especially when Bill Orm asks his question.
Well deserved, though.
Yeah, Bill's kind of an a-hole. So, like, I understand, dude. I totally get it. But to move on to more about JaMarcus Shephard's staff and who is reported to maybe probably come over to Oregon State, per Ryan Clark and some others as well. Again, not confirmed, but Mitch Dallin as a co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach would come over, and Torrey Gill as the wide receivers coach. Those guys sound familiar. That's because they are. They're both have OSU connections, okay? And this is a great first step in the right direction for JaMarcus. And he also mentioned in his press conference today that he would like to hire a Beaver alum to get on the staff. And, they were joking about Brandon Cooks, and Scott Barnes was like, in a couple of years. And it's funny. I mean, Brandon finally, I thought Brandon was finally done with his career the other day, but Buffalo signed him. He had a catch for 13 yards, so he's still chugging along, and Brandon said he would do it. So I find that funny, but I'm curious to see who he does want to have come in. There's a lot of great Beavers who are currently coaching elsewhere. I just don't know who he would pluck. Maybe he gets someone who's never coached before. I'm not sure. So we'll find out. But again, Mitch Dallin and Torrey Gill both have OSU connections. Dallin's dad, Chris, played football at Oregon State in the mid-'80s, and also his brother, Matt, played basketball at Oregon State in the Trace Tinkle era. So great connection to Oregon State. He's an Oregon kid. Mitch has had a long road back to the state of Oregon, actually. He started all the way back in 2011 at Sandy High School, and he was the co-OC and quarterback coach there, as long as a passing game coordinator. His notable stops are Boise State, Fresno State, UW, and now, of course, Alabama as the senior offensive analyst and quarterbacks coach there. So he's coordinated at small schools like College of Idaho and Black Hills State in South Dakota. I know you guys are huge fans of Black Hills State and College of Idaho. If you could tell me their mascots, I might give you a couple of bucks because that'd be impressive. College of Idaho is the Coyotes. I found that out today. From 2016 to 2017, his offenses averaged 27 points per game over 2 years. They did get better from year 1 to year 2 with a 5-point jump. They were a little bit more run heavy, and that's not crazy in that kind of league. There's a lot of teams who can't stop the run, but if you look back at his stats, the offense was moving the ball really well, and they had some games where they just lit it up, and that's good. That's good at flow state. That's good stuff to have. I think he understands what his strengths are in an offense, and he went to Black Hill State in 2019, and the defense there was horrible. They were giving up 40 or 50 points pretty regularly. They had a pretty bad team, playing from behind a lot. So nothing to really write home about that year from him. They scored like 21 points a game. That team went 3-8. That's not an important season. I think he just wanted to call plays again. But you look at his track record, the schools he's been to, what he's done so far. I think he's earned it. And when you learn under Ryan Grubb, Josh, a guy at Alabama right now who is drawing up a very good offense in the SEC, you can learn a lot of good things. And what I just want, and I know Dallin's just going to be a co-offensive coordinator. I hope I'm saying his name right. Is it Dallin or Dallin? Dallin.
I think it's Dallin.
Dallin. We'll find out in the coming days. What we need from this Oregon State offense again is the explosive play. And JaMarcus was talking about analytics. If you have an explosive play in a drive, it's good for like 4.2 points a drive. It's like you need to have one explosive play each drive, and you're pretty much guaranteed some points there. The Oregon State offense has really, really, really missed the explosive play since Silas Bolden left. There just hasn't been one, to be honest with you. And this offense needs it desperately, because there was times this season where you're like, oh my God, are they ever going to do anything? Are they ever going to get the ball past the 50-yard line? Are they going to get a first down? There was just so many negative connotations and expectations from this offense as the year went on. A lot of quarterback changes, a lot of things going on. So hopefully they can find immediate just foundation with this new coaching staff and this offense. And Torrey Gill, too. He was a grad assistant at Oregon State in 22. Then he moved up to assistant wide receivers coach for the 22 and 23 seasons. He was the interim running backs coach for the Sun Bowl after Coach Smith left and Trent Bray took over. So he's been around. Torrey Gill understands Corvallis, and those are two guys that understand the place, understand Oregon State, and it's a very good start for Coach Shephard and his staff. Now, it's also been rumored that co-DC and DB coach for Alabama, Maurice Linguist, would potentially come over and be the defensive coordinator at Oregon State. He's a Texas high school state champ in 2001. He's from the Dallas area. He played safety at Baylor. He was a defensive back coach with the Dallas Cowboys. He was the former head coach at Buffalo University. He went 14 and 23 there. They finished 3-9 in 2023, and he resigned after that year to go coach at Alabama. But he did go to a bowl game, and they did win it there. That's a tough place to win. But Josh, what are your thoughts, man, on the initial rumors of the unconfirmed coaches that could potentially be coming to Oregon State?
Well, I think the important thing is he cleaned house, right? And that was obviously what needed to be done. So obviously getting a fresh start just from the very beginning is massive. And whoever he brings, this list right now, though it's not confirmed, guessing this is who at least the start of the staff is going to be. It's massive, right? And I'll drink to that.
I am drinking a beer. I'm sorry. It's late. I'm trying to get.
I think the crazy thing is I'm going to go back to the press conference, because when he was talking about the offense and defense, do you remember where he said the offense starts?
On the offensive line.
Wow. What a concept that would be, right? You're telling me we're going to get an offensive line that could protect a quarterback, that could give a running back some running lanes to run through, and then wait.
Are they not supposed to just scrum up a yard in front of the line of scrimmage and fall down?
No, you're not supposed to. The running back's not supposed to hit the back of the offensive lineman 3 yards into the backfield. It's not how it works. We saw that a lot this year, but but then he's also talking about the wide receivers being the pretty boys, right? Give me the ball, I want the ball. Yeah. But when you take all that analytics, everything that he's talking about, and you slowly start meshing that together with a staff that knows what they're doing, man, that seems like it's instant recipe for success, right? And that's what this team needs. This team needs to go back. Identity. What is this identity going to be under Coach Shephard? What's it going to be with the coordinator, the new defensive coordinator? Who are these people? What are these game plans that we're going to see roll out on Saturdays and Fridays, Rob? It's a great start. I'm not mad at any of that. I was very adamant anybody to come in with ties to Oregon State. Now, these ties obviously aren't direct ties to the university, right? They're not former players or anything like that. I think it's good to have a foundation of people that have had family members at Oregon State, have had people come through the university. Like they know how important this university is to them. And when you start tying that into the families, like that makes recruiting so much easier, right?
Yep.
You can sell the university because I've had family. University means just as much as it does to them, to me, to you now, right? It's just a huge piece. So I'm so here for that. Like recruiting is going to be huge right now, and that's what we need. And if they're willing to do that, that's crazy, man. I'm just so excited to have this happen, and just let's get confirmed. It's going to be crazy.
And, from everyone's favorite, Andrew Nemec, he says on X today, snapshot, Oregon State's 2026 recruiting class is ranked number 126 nationally with 0 top 500 players, 2 in the top 1250, 3 in the top 1600. Coach Shephard has his work cut out for him after Bray's mess, but I continue to hear good things about the early efforts. Signing day is when you are listening to this podcast. It is today, essentially. It could be yesterday if you're listening 2 days from now. So obviously that's a really quick turnaround for this, very small coaching staff that Coach Shephard currently has right now. And I don't expect a big haul of guys flipping, but there's a lot of in-state talent that Oregon State just missed on under the Bray staff. And it felt like once Bray got fired, the only guy who was recruiting was Coach Heck. He got one commit from De La Salle. We'll see if he still comes. But it just felt like nobody was recruiting after Bray got fired. Everyone was just kind of, mailing it in. They were done. And that is why Coach Shephard is cleaning house, because how you do anything is how you do everything, right? Just like Coach Shephard says. And cleaning house is a good thing. Even with Coach Pickering, it would have been okay for me if he stayed, but he was honestly the only guy I kind of wanted back. Everybody else could have kicked rocks. I mean, would have been maybe okay for Rob Akey to be a defensive line coach, but nah, I'm okay, man. I don't feel like he recruits anyway, so this is good. This is all good news, and I think recruiting is going to be really difficult at first for Oregon State, especially with Coach Shephard going back to Tuscaloosa to coach the SEC championship game. There's not really a timeline of when he's actually going to fully be the full-time head coach, but I would anticipate him to coach the SEC championship game and then come to Corvallis. That's what it kind of feels like he's going to do. So if he doesn't, he can go coach the playoff. I totally understand it. But, I think maybe from his party, he's already been in the playoff. He's been to a national championship game as a coach. He's seen it already. So maybe he doesn't need to do it. Maybe he wants to see it through his guys. He's extremely loyal, and, it's great. I love to see that. But we've made the point last year, we kind of want the new head coach to start pretty quickly. So that is, it's something to keep an eye out for sure. But I would anticipate him to start pretty sooner, because with the portal opening pretty much on New Year's Day, there's a lot of work to do. And I'm sure there's going to be a decent amount of, a handful of guys from this current roster who he keeps around. And he said he's already started that process as well. So I'm excited to see who he likes to stick around. I'm excited to see who he values. It sounds like we think that Aiden Sullivan's going to come back. Shout out to Jemai East, man, his first catch of his career against Wazoo. Another player who looked pretty solid out there catching the football, who didn't play all freaking year. Thanks, coaching staff. That guy looked pretty solid for us on Saturday. He's coming back. So and I believe Eddie Freoff too. So there's a small handful of already guys who are probably going to come back. I don't think anybody besides Aiden Sullivan on defense, I wouldn't expect them to really come back, but we'll see. We'll see. I think JaMarcus is already trying to sell himself to the guys who he wants to keep around. And man, I'm really curious how these next few weeks just kind of roll out, because from now, December 2nd, when we record this, to January 2nd, it's really just about talking to guys who are either in the portal or about to hit the portal. And this is how you revamp your roster. Washington State got 70-something players on their team. I don't know if we'll see something that extreme at Oregon State, but we could see 60 players come in, maybe 50 to 55 new players come in. I'm really, really curious to see what this roster is going to look like, because it's about building that culture, right? And Coach Shephard mentioned it, man. It's about discipline. This team needs discipline, because Ron Callen mentioned it today on the Joe Beaver Show. The players that went down to Tulsa did not want to be there. And that's pretty rare from Ron Callen. He's Mr. Positive like all the time. And he was like, yeah, it was a pretty obvious, evident evidence that these guys did not want to be there. They were done. And got to cut those guys out. See you later. We can't have that anymore. If you're going to go on the road, you got to be road warriors. You got to be dogs. And just a quick side note today, they took a picture, Scott Barnes and JaMarcus Shephard, they took a picture with a white jersey, which I don't think, did Smith take a picture with a white jersey? I don't know.
So
Are they trying to exercise some road demons, maybe? Just trying to get these white jerseys to wake up a little bit so they can play better away from home? That'd be nice. But it was such a great press conference. I watched it twice. It was incredible. But no one asked him about special teams. But he has been a special teams coach before, so I think I'm hoping that thing gets shored up immediately because PFF had them as the worst special teams unit in the country, and that's not a shock to anybody. They were the second worst kicking team in the country for field goals. The punt return coverage against Washington State was abysmal, a complete joke. And I'm just so ready because, dude, if special teams was just regular, normal, this team maybe wins 5, 6 games. And that's sad to think about that special teams was that bad for Oregon State. So I think that's priority number one. To just that, and honestly, I think special teams was mainly a culture issue at Oregon State. There's just not a lot of effort. It was really just Skylar Thomas was the only one giving effort on special teams a lot of the time, and that has to change. I think it will change. You'll see a much better group next season, hopefully. But I can't make any guarantees. But it has to. It has to be better. There was just zero trust in anything that they were going to do. It was a miracle when they made a field goal. Like they were so bad at it all year. So I can't believe nobody asked him about, hey, what about your special teams unit? They were horrible this year. No one said it. They were like, hey, what's your defense going to look like? How about your offense? What's your offensive philosophy? I think JaMarcus Shepherd is going to score some points. Okay, I think he knows what he's doing on that side of the ball. So I think we just got to figure out the kicking and the covering and not getting our kicks blocked, not dropping snaps, not snapping it over people's heads. I mean, good grief, that I put it to bed forever. But Josh, man, hey, any last thoughts on that press conference? We've been having technical difficulties in this podcast all night. So if it sounds a little bit funny during, when you're listening to it, just know I did my best editing it, okay? We've gone through the ringer here tonight.
I don't think so, man. I just so impressed with just how it went. And like Andrew Nemec said, like the big haul is going to come in so just getting into January, like don't be discouraged tomorrow and just the next couple of weeks. Like just let it play out. Let him do what him and the staff need to do to go out and get some of these guys they want. And I was really surprised about the in-state recruiting and just how bad it was. And he talked about that during his press conference also, like wanting to hit that. That's very important. If you got guys in your own state that don't even want to come play for your college, that's bad news. Like there's something seriously wrong with that. So if you can shore that up, and I'm sure he'll turn that around and start getting some of these guys in state that want to come play, it's huge, right? I think everything just feels like it's just a recipe for success right now, but it's getting to those points of finding out how successful it's going to be that we just got to be patient with.
100%, man. And year one, like you have mentioned, it's going to be tough. I think everyone realizes the Oregon State job at first is going to be really hard. Turning over this roster is going to be very difficult. Finding the right guys, finding your pieces, finding the right coaches. It's going to take a year to probably get his feet under him because, look, he's a first-time head coach. Yes, Scott Barnes says he checks all the boxes. He's a great motivator, great inspiring, fiery speaker. But is that going to result in a successful, 6 to 8 win season? Is it? I don't know. You can't really say right now because if this staff that he's going to bring in were to take this current roster and say, go play the same season again, would it be better? Because special teams, I don't know if it gets any better. When you lose Dylan Black, that was like, he was worth at least 3 or 4 wins, it felt like. And I just don't know how any coaching staff really maneuvers around that. So it's gonna be really a fun and interesting offseason, just seeing all the guys that they're talking to, getting them to commit. This portal's gonna be huge, man. How many guys from Alabama are actually gonna come over, player-wise, are gonna come over to Oregon State? Because we know they're not going to be starters at Alabama, right? Like it's going to be guys who are behind or maybe just came in and maybe they realize that they're going to be sitting for a while. Okay, maybe I should go somewhere else. Maybe I'll go with Coach Shep to Oregon State and play. That's going to be interesting because we just saw Tristan Tia have his first start against Wazoo. And I know, Josh, you didn't watch a ton of the game because it was on the CW. And for some reason, Josh is the only person in the country who doesn't get that channel.
Well, listen, I'm not gonna go drop $80 and pay for subscriptions to watch garbage time every Saturday. So
That's very fair. But next year, we got to get on it, brother.
no
Uh,
excuses.
but I thought Tristan was very poised in his first ever collegiate start. True freshman, throwing to a bunch of guys who haven't seen the field a ton. Because look, David Wells had a DUI. He was arrested. I think he was removed from the team, actually. I think Scott Barnes confirmed that today. I believe Jimmy Valzen was also arrested for a DUI. So those guys probably aren't coming back, which I think is fine. They made a terrible mistake. I hope they get a second chance somewhere else. I don't. Jimmy Valzen's probably had a pretty tough year because he was coming back from a knee injury, and unfortunately, he turned to drinking and he drove while he was drunk and he got caught. So that's a really hard life lesson to learn, and I hope those young men can figure it out on their own somewhere else. But Tristan was thrown to nobody out there because Trent Walker early on fumbles the football, loses it, his second fumble in 3 games, and he's throwing to Jemiah East out there, like we mentioned earlier. He's throwing to some tight ends who lack talent to be nice, and like Zach Card got a ton of snaps. He's hardly played this year. It's been tough, man. Like Malachi Durant was out there. He barely played this year. Eddie Freoff was out there. He barely played this year. Tristan was throwing to guys that he's probably not practiced with a ton either. And the offensive line didn't give him a ton of time. But you know what Tristan was doing, man? He was going through his progressions anyway. He was doing his part. He was trying his best to just make plays. And yeah, the 2 interceptions, true freshman, he's gonna make those mistakes. He's just trying to make a play. He trusts his arm, and I like that about him, okay? I think the ball comes out of his hand pretty good. He looks good in the pocket, and he can extend plays a little bit more than others. So I think going into next year, because Tristan did mention that he would like to stay, but he said, I understand how it is now. Like I might have to go, but he said he likes Corvallis a lot. He liked it as a kid. He wanted to go to Oregon State since he was a kid. Sounds like a pretty old school kind of cat. Sounds like a guy you want to keep around just to compete as well and fight for the starting position. This brings in the question about Austin Mack, who is the current backup at Alabama, their quarterback, who was at Washington originally with Kalen, then he went to Alabama. He is 6'7". You kids at home can have the joke. And I've
6'7".
watched I've watched all of his throws this year on YouTube. He's played primarily in garbage time against bad competition. Really impressive arm. He's got good size too. He can run a little bit. I think him and Tia's running ability is probably about the same. Hasn't really been unleashed due to just playing with big leads against lesser competition, but his arm sticks out for sure. Like he missed on a throw on a sideline to a tight end, but you can just see the ball comes out of his hand just a little bit differently. So he's really interesting. If he does come over, that's a name that a lot of people have mentioned. The Alabama play-by-play man mentioned it today on the Joe Beaver show. That like he's a name that you could potentially see coming back to the West Coast. So does Shep bring him in? Who does Shep bring with him, man? These are all questions that are going to be answered here in the next few weeks. I think it's going to be really, really fun this offseason. But hey, Josh, what are your thoughts on that last Washington State game? Their fans being a little bit odd, their players being a little bit odd, and Tristan Tia's first start.
I didn't get to watch most of the game, thankfully, it sounds like. But
Yeah.
I was the first little bit I watched. I was impressed with a little bit we saw of him the 2 weeks beforehand, right? Seeing a quarterback be able to get through reads is refreshing compared to what we had slinging the ball for us in every which direction. And Tristan is able to stay, in which and understanding maybe will he is. You want a guy that wants to be here, right? All season. You want players that want to play at Oregon State. And Tristan does. And I think has the ability to be a very successful quarterback, right? And again, we don't know what kind of offense Shep is going to run. Are we going to see the normal, try to run it down someone's throat?
No.
And I hope not. Are we?
Please no.
It really just depends what kind of offense he wants to run. So, I Washington State fans is very odd to me, and I don't understand this little power trip that they're on because we normally don't see those from Cook fans. Like they were saying some gnarly stuff to you after the game on Saturday, and it's like, where are all these people coming out of the woodworks from?
I
Like,
know.
you guys are 6-6. I could care less about this Washington State team right now. We've only won 2 games. We beat you 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like, there's nothing that you should be happy about. Like, that was an awful loss.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, that was terrible. So I just don't understand. It gives me an Oregon fan base vibe type of interaction when you're reading some of this stuff. Like, and I had a couple guys I was cashing in receipts on when we were they were saying some pretty I mean, I'm not gonna say it on here, but they were saying some pretty nasty stuff. Not quite to the extent of what you were getting on Saturday, if that can give anybody just understanding what was going on. But it's just weird. Like it just gives me a little it's the doc says little brother vibes, but it gives me that little brother feel that like, oh, we beat you and you guys don't suck, blah 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 blah. Like I don't whatever. Like kick a dog whites down if that's what makes you feel better, but
Yeah, sure. Go for it, guys.
it just is so weird. And I don't like Washington State's fans after the last few weeks of just interacting with them. Like I
At least online. I
online
mean,
like it's easy to hide behind a fake account, right?
yeah.
Because you can be the toughest guy in the world, and unless you're Duck Zone 503, like putting your address out there, like I don't care about you. So it's just an interesting vibe. Like I tweeted a week ago, like I'm so done talking about this season. I don't even want to talk about this Washington State game anymore. Like you covered it enough. You saw enough of it. Like it's the JaMarcus Shephard era, and I'm done with everything that happened this year.
I agree, man. I like this season was just such a disaster, just over and over and over again. If you guys want to find my personal YouTube, I have one video, and I made an edit. I made a montage of what can go wrong, will go wrong for Oregon State 2025 football. I think I named it 2025 Oregon State football. Yikes. And it's about a 15-minute video of just everything going wrong. And you'll hear the same Trent Bray clip of him saying special teams, effing joke, over and over and over again. Because when you look back at this season, man, there's just so many moments where you're like, oh my goodness, like this one game had enough drama for an entire season. When you look back at the Fresno State game, when you look back at the Houston game, when you look back at the App State game, you're like, oh my goodness. And then Sam Houston, who could forget that one? There's just so many games where you're like, what can go wrong did go wrong. And I hope we never experience a season like that ever again. And Trent Bray set us up to fail, which is very unfortunate because he has nothing to hang his head about for this season. He didn't want the job. He was forced into it. And like I mentioned, it was late in the shot clock. We had to make a decision. It was like, Trent Bray or Brent Brennan. He's already here. Let's go Trent Bray. And obviously that was a mistake. Brent Brennan's doing a great job at Arizona. Would he do a good job at Oregon State in this current landscape? Who knows?
Who
Probably
knows?
not. Probably not. But consistency is just all I want, man. I just want a team that goes out there and plays their ass off on Saturday. Doesn't matter where they are. I don't care if you're playing it on a blacktop. I don't care if you're playing it on the surface of the sun, dude. Play your ass off no matter what, man. I don't care what the score is. We got to start having a team mentality of just we're going to kick ass every single play. And I think JaMarcus Shepherd's going to bring that. But another consistency was Mike Parker, dude. Just really quick, this is an appreciation part of this episode now. Mike Parker is the best announcer in the country in college sports. And I don't say that as a biased listener of Oregon State. I listen to Mike every single day, okay? I've heard his good, I've heard his angry, I've heard his upset, okay? He's the best. Because I was listening to Michigan, Ohio State on the radio, and I started with the Michigan radio guy. That guy is honk, shoe, snooze me away, dude. He is horrible. It's like Michigan will make a big play. And he's like, oh, hand off to Jackson, tackle for loss. It'll be 3rd and 9. I'm like, where's the fire, dude? Mike Parker would be up out of his seat. And, dude, during the Washington State game, I only listen to him typically when I'm at home. I'll have him and Jim Wilson on, and he was getting so upset with the officials just constantly talking over him and over Jim during the broadcast. And at one point, Mike just goes, "Yeah, we know," right in the middle of it. He just goes, "This is the end of the quarter." He goes, "Yeah, we know." It's so funny, dude. Like, he's the best. He's the absolute best. He cares about Oregon State more than a lot of Oregon State people, and he went to Oregon. Like, he is the best, dude. And when I was listening to Michigan Ohio State game, I flipped over to the Ohio State guy. He's also not very good. Like, oh, touchdown Buckeyes. I'm like, dude, there is just no excitement. Ohio State's going to go to a national championship game again, and it sounds like they're just like, oh, this is a preseason NFL game. Like, that's how they sound. Mike's the best, dude. Doc is. He's probably not listening to this. He's probably never going to come on this show, but we love him, man. And I think a lot of Beaver Nation takes him for granted because he truly is one of the best radio guys in all of sports, not just college. And I think he's the best in college. But I have a Beaver logo on my chest and I'm wearing a Beaver hat. So, and I listen to the Joe Beaver show every single day. But
Are you a Beaver, Rob?
I could be. Proof's in the pudding, man. He called me a great Beaver one time, so I'm gonna take that to the grave. It might go on my grave. Mike Parker
You need
said
to get
Robbie
that
was
tattooed somewhere,
yeah,
bro.
Mike Parker said Robbie was a great Beav. I should honestly. What do I have to lose? I think it'd be a great story.
Well done. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you know what else is a great story?
What is it, Rob?
Jonathan Smith got fired.
Really? What
Yeah,
a
I know.
surprise.
It's a couple days late. I'm sorry. And Michigan State already hired their coach. Dude,
Bro,
they
like within hours.
it's like within like 30 seconds, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna fire Jonathan Smith, and Pat Fitzgerald's gonna be our coach." It was like, how long y'all been working on this? It was incredible. He's $33 million richer. Cha-ching. Remember when Michigan State fans, when they hired Jonathan Smith, they were just dogging Oregon State fans online, calling us broke beeves. Oh, you can't afford your guy, you're broke beeves. You know who's a rich beeve now is Jonathan Smith. He is one rich beeve, and you guys made him that. So thanks for that. Do you think Jonathan will donate to the football program?
No.
That's
That'd be
okay.
nice if he
Maybe.
did.
I mean, he still loves Oregon State. Him and Mike Parker talk all the time, and he still loves them. So,
Does he want to come on this podcast?
Jonathan, hey, you want to amend some things? Should we try?
I'll try.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Does he take the year off? You think he's got kids? Like
I
where
would
are they going to
assume so.
go?
Like,
He's got to go to the
he's-
West Coast. He's got to come back home, dude.
He's coming back, yeah, for sure.
He's got to. No one wants, and especially it's about to be winter in East Lansing. Like it's going to be terrible there. Like you got to get out of there. I think what's interesting about Jonathan, this is not a Jonathan Smith podcast either, but he hasn't called plays since 2017 at UW. Would he go and do that again? I mean, it's been a long time since he's done that. But I think overall, though, Beaver Nation can hopefully release their hatred for the guy. He got fired. He made his mistake. He got paid. We can all move on, okay? The wagon continues, bro. Every single JaMarcus Shephard probably one day is going to get a big boy offer from a different job, okay? I don't want to speak too far into the future because I want to enjoy this man as much as possible, but hang on to him tight and let's appreciate every single thing he does for this community of Corvallis, for this football program, for the university. He's going to do a lot of great things off the field, not just on the field. Yeah, man. 2025 is over. This football season is over. We end it on a very, very good note here with JaMarcus Shephard's press conference. And Josh, man, it's been a crazy year. We've gained some new fans. We've lost a lot of our listeners just because of the general, just the general interest of the football program has definitely gone down this year. I think we saw that in the stands as well. But I know you don't want to talk about it anymore. But let's last thoughts about everything, and maybe just in college football. Like, what are your thoughts on this whole entire year for us?
I'm gonna leave this season, this pod, probably in the worst way possible. Okay, I'm gonna leave it with something that Dan Lanning says, and I hope that it could be brought to Corvallis. I want Corvallis to be a place that coaches look at Corvallis as the grass is dang green in Corvallis, right? That I don't need to go be somewhere else because it's not, the grass isn't always going to be greener there. That's what I want. And it feels like Shep's going to give us that for 3-4 years or however long he's here, right? If we can get to that point, I think we can honestly say Oregon State football's back. We've been drugged through the mud. We have been dug 6+ feet deep down under the worst trash disposal ground that you can think of, right? And it was video came out last night of JaMarcus talking to the players. You said like something about like, oh, 80% or 90% of those guys won't even be here, or something about some kind of I don't even remember what you said, but it
He was
was
talking to the wrong guys.
talking to the wrong guys. And I said simply, I don't care if he was talking to the dumpster behind room. That dumpster would have been running towards a wall to go through it. Okay.
Yep.
The save me era is he think he's going to do it. And I hope we're so right about this 9, 10, 12 months from now. And I hope a year from now, when we're recording the season coming to an end, hopefully not right now, but
A
there's
few weeks
bigger
from
and
now,
better,
yeah.
yeah, coming on down the road, that it feels like that, dang, this guy was it. Scott did the right thing, and we're loving football again. And it feels like he has the energy to save, I don't know if he can save it in Tinkle, but save some of these athletic sports around Oregon State with just his presence, the energy that he brings, just his charisma. It's huge, man. I honestly, if we wanted to talk for another 2 hours, I'd do it, but we can't. It's late. It's like 3 a.m. and for you,
It's about to hit midnight. You are correct.
so it's. I'm so thankful it's done, right? But I'm so thankful and excited for what this future holds. A lot of Beaver Nation feels the same way.
I hope so, man. And I hope everyone who's listening to this has a Merry Christmas. We'll probably come back on at some point in the spring to do a baseball podcast. We might have a guest on for that. We're going to update the football offseason as we go, and we'll reach back out to you guys, in the spring and probably the summer at some point. We appreciate the loyal listeners, man, for you guys coming back every single week. We appreciate all the kind words, and we appreciate all of the not so kind words because it makes us work harder. It makes us want to do just a little bit more and be a little bit better. And when next year comes around, please tell your fellow Beaver Friend fans to listen to Chainsaw Crew because right now we're the small podcast, right? We're trying to grow. We're trying to get bigger. That's why we got Headquarters PT on our side. That's why we got Hannah Grace on our side. We want you on our side. We want a bigger fan base. We want to be the one that you come to listen to Oregon State sports and get your ideas, your knowledge from. Okay, that's what we want to bring to you guys. So we appreciate you guys so much for coming back every single week. It's been a really tough season, but JaMarcus Shephard is the shepherd of the light. Okay, he is going to bring this light to us. Okay, it really does feel like that. And I hope one day, man, we can look back at this era of this new Beaver football that we're going to see and just smile. We can forever look at highlights and look at these big wins that we get over Boise State, over Fresno State, over Washington State. Maybe we get a big time win against the Ducks at some point when we play them again, man. That'd be so great to have that yet again. It's not guaranteed. We can only hope. Hope can kill a man, but right now we have a ton of it. And I cannot wait for fall camp to start, and I cannot wait for baseball season. The boys are coming to Texas a few times. I'll be there. So if you're coming down for those games, man, hit me up, say hello. I'll be probably taking a social media break a little bit here as we get into this off season, so I can get away from it. Like what Josh said, the Washington State fans are not too kind, so it's a lot of negativity on there. One guy was telling me to kill myself, so that's what's that's what's really great about the Washington State fans this season. So, but I've been to Pullman 3 times, guys. It's great. They're super nice people. Online, not so much. Barstool Wazoo, trash. Get out of here. So, last thing, my uncle Dan is sometimes a listener of this podcast. He's a season ticket holder for Oregon State, and recently he was announced that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers, man. He's a huge Beaver fan. He is all over it all the time. He's the first one to send me a Canzano article because he's subscribed to him. He's the first one talking to me about JaMarcus Shephard. He was like on the same wavelength as I was when I first heard about Shephard. He was like, hey, I kind of like this guy too. He's a great Beaver fan, so keep him in your thoughts. He's been working hard the last year to get healthier, so that's definitely going to help him in his fight. And they think they caught it early enough, so hopefully for good news for next season and beyond, that my Uncle Dan can get his ass back in a seat, just like JaMarcus Shephard said. Hey, man, alone, come on back. Maybe he'll be in his office. Maybe Tim Hughes will be in his office. Maybe everybody else will be in his office, okay? But guys, thank you for listening. Go Beavs. Josh, any last words?
Go Beavs.
Hell yeah. We'll see you guys soon.